I'm sure when people make game plans, he has to be a concern because he could definitely disrupt your game.
The first thing that strikes you about Marquise Hill is he's huge. 6'8", 295 pounds of pure athletic ability.
Yeah, a lot of times kids that age are a little clumsy. He's not clumsy at all.
The senior from New Orleans has been a nightmare for his opponents all season long. He has tallied over 8 sacks and well over 80 tackles, forcing many recruiting experts to rank Hill the 3rd best defensive tackle in America. And as a result, colleges all around the country are calling.
And anybody who has ever seen him has offered him a scholarship. Every single person has offered him a scholarship. Nobody said, let me take film back to my head coach and get an approval. There's no need to get approval here.
Under NCAA rules, seniors like Marquise can get 5 official visits. So far, he's decided to take 1 to Miami and 1 to Michigan. And yes, LSU fans, the Tigers are still in the hunt.
All my family was pulling for LSU. I like LSU, but you hear different things, you know. You hear a lot of stuff. People talking, colleges talking about other colleges knocking each other.
For now, he is a defensive lineman, but because of his 6'8" frame, his future could be on the offensive line.
It matters. I want to play defense, but if that was the way the cookie rolls, if I had to play offense, then so be it.
If he had one weakness right now, he's a little nice. I mean, he's a little nice, and I think he's had to be nice over the years because, you know, when you're 6'8" and you pick on a little guy, you know, you're a big bully. You know, even if you're right or you're wrong, but he's a little nice, and, you know, that hurts him a little bit on a football field. I wish he'd be a little meaner. If he'd be a little meaner on a football field, he could really do some damage.
Marquise Hill agrees that he is too nice and says he's making an effort to get meaner. No one is quite sure where the recruiting trail will lead, but he'll be a factor somewhere on Saturdays next year. And if all goes well, this football thing could turn into a career.
If he does everything right, he ought to be playing on Sundays in 5 years.
For Countdown to Signing Day, I'm Tommy Kane.
The coaches told me that I have a chance to play as a freshman, that I come up there and get in the rotation. So I felt comfortable going there, what they told me. I wanted to see all my friends and family at my games and stuff. And I figured if I went to Michigan, they wouldn't have the chance to see me. So it was the best thing for me to come home. Then we had one of the top recruiting class, and it's just time for LSU to get back at the top.
Warning to the coaching staff at LSU, get ready to supersize everything on campus. Locker rooms, weight rooms, heck, you might want to expand the tunnel. Marquise Hill is on his way, and he's going to need some extra space. He's 6'7", 300 pounds, and the All-American from New Orleans is joining us on the set. That's right, New Orleans. I just wanted to pronounce that correctly. Thanks a lot for joining us, and why LSU?
Well, it's the perfect place for me, you know. I wanted to stay home, close to home. Not too many players from New Orleans stayed home. And I think that's been the Achilles heel in LSU success because all the players from home always leave. I mean, you have Travis Minor from Baton Rouge going to Florida State. You have Warwick Dunn went to Florida State. So I feel it's time for change for me to just come home, just stay home. And instead of going somewhere else, make somebody else's program better, I wanted to stay home.
All right.
Love that state pride. Now, how tough was the decision for you? I know you looked around, you liked Michigan for a while. How tough was it?
It was kind of tough. I mean, it was pretty tough. I mean, I had great people recruiting me. I have like David Kelly and Fred Jackson. Those guys are great people. You know, they was always straight with me. I had a couple of coaches that weren't real honest with me, but those guys were straightforward. It really made it easy for me to make a decision. And I felt that I was comfortable with Coach saving them. They was honest with me. They wasn't always on me. Every time they called me, they wasn't always talking about football. They just wanted to meet me as a person, just knew who I was as a person.
No question you have the size. We already talked about that, but what do you think you have to do to play at the next level right away?
Oh, get faster, work on some pass rushing moves, you know, get stronger. Everyone has to get strong. There's always room for improvement. I think I just some things I need to work on.
Now, obviously, you can play in any position on the defensive line. What ultimately do you want to play? D tackle, DN?
DN, defensive tackle, whatever the team needs. You know, it's not all about me. I just want to, whatever it takes to win, that's what I want to do.
Now, we have seen this entire recruiting season that every week, week in and week out, LSU getting great players. Marcus Spears, Michael Clayton. I mean, you have to be fired up seeing all these guys come in to know what this future holds for the organization and the team.
Well, it wasn't only that there was all those players coming in, but the type of people that they are. I had a chance to play with them at the All-Star game, and just talking to those guys, they was all ready to go. They was like, oh, man, we could win the whole thing, you know. They was all hyped up, so it's good to be around people who want to win, you know.
Now, first team All-USA today, All-American, represents your side for the All-Star game. What was that experience like for you, being able to be with all the other All-Americans like that?
Oh, it was fun. You know, we was talking a lot of trash in the locker rooms, talking to the West, talking noise. You know, we always think, everybody think their state has the best football. We think Louisiana has the best football, so, you know.
All right. How about in terms of the pressure that you were under? I mean, getting calls from recruits week in and week out, hearing Jamie Newberg on the line calling you and bugging you. Are you happy to get that whole process over with?
Oh, yeah, I was real happy. I mean, that's one of the reasons that had my commitment. I kind of knew where I was going in the beginning, as I said to some of the reporters, but it was just the late night phone calls that really did it. That you kept on, you know, some people come asking you the same thing, but in a different way. They kept asking the same question: where you going? What's your plans? When you going to make a decision? So I was ready to put a rest of all that. That's why I chose LSU.
Now, did you do some recruiting yourself, helping LSU land some guys?
I just talked to a couple of people. You know, it was time for everybody to stop beating around the bush and come to where they want to come. You know. I felt that I could talk to the guys and, you know, see what they was thinking, see what they was at, you know, let us know that if they really was coming to LSU, we could recruit somebody else instead of wasting time. So the guys were talking to me like, man, we're ready to make the deal, ready to win the thing. So that was on for now.
He's tough.
Now, Marquise, you know, we've had a lot of pretty boys on the show. The guys, the quarterbacks, the running backs, you know, like Ahmad Carroll, the pretty boy over there. He's coming on in just a few minutes. But we want you to sign the football. We need a biggin on the ball, the biggest guy ever to sign this ball. Joe, there you go.
Got soft hands, too.
Very nice. All right, Marquise. Thanks a lot for joining us, and thanks for flying in from New Orleans, the Big Easy, to join us on the show.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
All righty. We're going to take a break right now. Straight ahead on the show, we'll tear open the envelope and reveal the signings in Conference USA, and also see how the Miami Hurricanes did after the departure of Butch Davis.
Hi, I'm John Rafferty.
I'm Kyle Butler. I'm Keith Kaiser.
And we're all Georgia Tech fans, and we're watching our favorite show, Countdown to Signing Day on Fox Sports Net. Let's go, Jackets. Come on, Tech. Woo!
Come on.
All righty. Those guys are fired up for the season, and these guys are fired up for 2000.
Well, you have to like Darrell Holmes in Atlanta. Kevin Smith from Macon is a great one. Of course, Forrest Tucker with a name like that, he has to be a
You
good
just like him because it's your name.
Oh, not true.
Well, coming out of De La Salle High School in New Orleans is a guy by the name of Marquise Hill, and he is 6'8", 305 pounds. That is huge. Everybody wants him, as you can imagine, and we asked his coach, Darren Barbier, what that list consists of.
It'll be a shorter list who I haven't heard from, okay, because I've heard from everyone. At the end of the year, it'll be down to the top schools in the Big 12, the top schools, and I mean, you know, Florida State naturally is going to be a big play, and LSU will be a big play in it, I'm sure. I mean, but I don't know that, you know, but I know everyone from Florida State to UCLA and every school in between is recruiting. He's probably one of the best players I've ever been around. Best thing about him is his work ethic. He's the first one here every day. He goes in the weight room when he don't have to go in the weight room. He works hard. He's 6'8", 305, and he's not lazy. He's a hard worker. He's a leader. He's a quality young man.
You get a guy that size with that much heart and desire, there are no boundaries.
No, there is nothing this guy can't do. And I tell you, when I recently talked to Marquise, he was sitting on 47 scholarship offers by mid-August. That's almost unheard of.
I tell you the thing that's going to be fun about him, once he makes the decision of which school he's going to, watching the offensive coaches and defensive coaches fight over him, because this kid could be one of the great offensive left tackles that I have ever seen.
Oh, he could be
Plus
phenomenal.
And look at how he runs to the ball. Great player. Another one of those guys this year that we're blessed to see that because they play hard all the time.
And when I talked to him a couple weeks back, he said Florida State and Georgia were his two leaders. Now, LSU is going to be in the thick of it when it's all said and done, but watch out for the Wolverines of Michigan. I think they'll be a player with Mr. Hill before it's said and done as well.
Moving on now to Marquise Hill, and he plays big literally. He's 6'8" and 300 pounds. The senior from De La Salle in New Orleans is being courted by everyone, as you might imagine. He said he likes Michigan, LSU, Georgia, and Georgia Tech. His uncle played at Alabama and said that he just might visit the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, I have a feeling that could happen once we learn, who is named the new Alabama head coach. So look for that in the next couple weeks with Marquise Hill. But I really believe Michigan right now is in the best position, but I have a feeling when it's all said and done, he's probably staying home and going to sign with LSU. It's going to be a fierce battle. Loves Doug Marrone, the UGA coach that's recruiting him. Coach Marrone recruited him while he was at Georgia Tech. They've had a long relationship, so Georgia could be in the mix as well. Georgia Tech's also going to get a visit from Marquise, also some Texas schools. This one's going to get interesting because I have a feeling when it's all said and done and we're talking defensive players, you know, come January, early February, he could be the marquee guy of all the defensive prospects out there. You're talking 6'8", 300 pounds, probably move inside the defensive tackle, but picture him if he actually wanted to play offensive tackle. He could be awesome.
The impressive thing about him, he's 6'8", 300 pounds, but he runs
Oh, he's so nimble.
like a tight end or a running back. And his coach said that, you know what? It's not all about his talent. He has great heart and a great work ethic.
He sure does. And I think a lot of that has to do with basketball. Also a great basketball player. No averages at least a double-double for De La Salle. And that helps these big guys a lot, especially with the footwork.
All right.
It is now the dead period in recruiting. If you're unfamiliar with the phrase, it means a college coach cannot see a prospect on or off campus from Monday, December 18th until Monday, January 15th. A coach can call a prospect once a week during this time, and there are still 2 big visit weekends on the 5th and 12th of January. The dead period helps teams that are preparing for bowl games, as well as teams going through a coaching transition. But for the most part, things will get a little quiet until mid-January, but not that quiet. In fact, there was some big news down in the Bayou this week.
After looking at everything, talking to different coaches, I'd rather further my education and my football career at Louisiana State University.
Big-time defensive line prospect Marquise Hill shocked everyone with the timing of his announcement to play college football for LSU. Hill, from New Orleans, Louisiana, is one of the most sought-after DL prospects in the country, and it was thought he would not make a decision until sometime next month. This is an absolutely huge pickup for Tiger head coach Nick Saban. They are on track to sign the top 5 players from the Bayou State and land one of the country's best recruiting classes. Look for wide receiver Michael Clayton and tight end Marcus Spears, both from Baton Rouge, to commit to LSU sometime between Christmas and the New Year. They are both considered among the nation's elite at their positions.
Well, you know, it may be the dead period, but there was some serious action in the recruiting game when Marquise Hill, one of the best defensive linemen in the country, made his verbal commitment. The senior from De La Salle in New Orleans is 6'8" and over 300 pounds, and his decision caused the ground to shake from New Orleans to Baton Rouge.
It's been tough. I've been recruited since September 1st. I've been nervous. I had a lot of people tell me different things, but I had my family to back me up. Thank God for that. I had good coaches, Coach Barbie, Ms. Hall, people helped me out. I made decisions, made sure I didn't make a stupid decision. After looking at everything, talking to different coaches, I'd rather further my education and my football career at Louisiana State University.
Well, he definitely looks good in that hat, and Nick Saban pulls another great recruit, and
I'm going to clap myself.
not too shabby.
What a get for Coach Saban. I mean, this guy is an animal. He's probably the top overall line prospect in the entire country because he could be an All-American on either side of the football, and he'll get his shot first on the defensive side. And he picked LSU over Georgia Tech, Auburn, and Michigan. And we were a little shocked at the timing of his announcement. We thought it was going to be sometime in January. At least that's what he told me the night before he made his decision. So I think it's one of those situations where he may have just woken up that morning and say, hey, Coach, I want to pull the trigger. Let's get this thing over with.
Now, he is one of the best defensive prospects in the country. Maybe move to the other side of the ball when he gets to LSU. But how do you think this will have an impact on the other recruits that are thinking about going to LSU now?
I tell you, these guys all want to play with great football players. And when you look what LSU has already done, getting Andrew Whitworth, getting Rudy Niswanger, getting Marquise Hill now, I think it's about a week away from them landing both Michael Clayton and Marcus Spears. You're talking about the top 5 players in Louisiana going there, not to mention all the other great players that they should get. When we're talking about this on signing day, they could have the top class in the South.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the USA Today all-everything team, and Marquise Hill is on that squad at defensive line, and also Eric Shelton. We have featured the E-Train. He is also making the squad, but this is loaded with players that we have featured all season long.
Oh, yeah, and you talked about Roscoe Crosby, one of the best athletes in the country. Whitworth, who we just mentioned, Chris Spencer out of Madison, and Antrell Roll. We haven't talked about him yet. He's a super DB prospect out of South Dade High School down in Homestead, and that's a great list right there, I tell you.
And we're not done. The second teamers, and once again, a number of players that we have featured, including DJ Shockley. He was on our show last week, and Jabari Davis also, Tucker, Georgia, and there's your buddy, Carnell Cadillac Williams.
Yeah, and then, of course, Michael Clayton, Montrell Jones. For the life of me, I can't figure out how I keep saying Marcus Spears is not first team. He's second team All-American, and Crow Thorpe, a great player headed to Florida State.
Also, Jeff Littlejohn, another guy that we have featured, and LaMarcus Roll, who many consider to be one of the best defensive prospects in the land.
And, of course, Robert Boulware, who was supposed to be here today, had some family problems, not going to be here, but his quarterback will be here, Paul Truck.
All right, so congratulations to all those players who made that impressive list